So here's the question. Are the regulators coming? If things happen, if banks are too big to fail, if there's losses to retail investors, the regulators will generally step in. And I think it's useful to understand what could actually happen and what would the implications be. So the official goals for regulators are to manage unemployment and inflation, obviously, but they also have goals to protect unsophisticated investors. And so you see here the photo of the snake oil salesman. So this is 200 years ago. These snake oil salesmen used to roam around and sell these cure-all potions. You know, if you have diabetes, if you're bald, if you feel sick, no matter what the problem was, you could get better, they claimed, by buying their potion. And so in crypto, there's a perception in some circles, especially in regulatory circles, that it's still the Wild West in crypto. And so US regulators lead the world in making noise about things in the crypto space, but also not passing any laws. And they've passed 0 laws to do with crypto since the 2017 ICO run. So let's take a look at some of the previous regulatory headwinds, because I think it's useful if we're asking the question, what's going to happen next? It's important for us to understand what has happened previously and what might happen this time. So the SEC working to actually slow down and stop ICOs is one of the things that really started the last bear market in late 2017 and early 2018. So you've seen all kinds of headlines. The SEC stops coin offerings, fires warning shot, files charges over ICO, and lawyer predicting an assembly line of enforcement. This didn't actually happen. They didn't actually go after 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 token issuers. But just the threat of the SEC saying, this is a serious issue, we think this is worth paying attention to, and we're going to try to slow this down or stop it, that was enough to actually really slow the industry down. And so the impact was that the bear market actually started then. We went down 83% that year in terms of asset prices. Third parties, including Facebook, Twitter, all the social media platforms, basically made it impossible to advertise ICOs, which I think was a necessary step at that point in time because there were a lot of scams happening. And the ICO funding market died for 2 years, but we did end up seeing a gradual recovery and a stronger industry that emerged on the other side of that. And so you can actually see the global venture capital funding here. I mean, it's staggering. The delta between 2017 and 18 was very staggering. But then if you actually zoom out and you look on the long term, the line is going up. So with the amount of adoption and capital that's now in the space, I don't think whatever happens in the next 12 to 24 months means that it's game over. In fact, quite the opposite. I think that there are some great companies that will be built during this market cycle. So after 2017, no actual laws were passed. You had a number of other countries, including here in Singapore, pass laws to address token issuance. But the law hasn't caught up, and so there's still a lot of carve-outs and loopholes. So next, I think it's worthwhile talking about the China ban. This is also something that happened in 2017. Now, for those OGs in the room, this is not actually China ban #1. This is like the 3rd or 4th time China banned it. But we could just pretend for the purposes of this that this is when it happened. And so you actually see here in early 2017, most of the trading volume in Bitcoin globally leading up to the start of 2017 was on these Chinese platforms. And if you talk to them, it was an absolutely crazy time. And China came out and said that they're investigating the FX and anti-money laundering practices of those exchanges. And you see virtually within the span of 1 month, it was a collapse. So there was no actual impact on the price, and we actually saw the bull market continue. So China Ban 2 happened in 2021 when China said they were banning all of the mining activity that was happening in China. So what you see here is hash rate, which is just a nice way of saying mining power. And you see China was previously the biggest, and then they dropped off precipitously. So miners moved offshore in droves, and the actual impact on the market was positive. So this assumes that you actually started buying Bitcoin at the time when the Chinese government banned it. And you can see here it's actually a positive EV exercise, which means you would have made money every single time. So it presents a great mid-cycle buying opportunity. I like to think of the China ban being the flag that says the bull market is now 50% over, because it tends to happen 50 to 60% through each bull market. And markets rebound. So stablecoin regulations. So the Europeans are currently considering legislating stablecoins. And it's not clear what it would look like because of Europe's framework. Sorry. Because of Europe's regulatory framework, the EU has a lot of work to do to actually pass laws. So This is currently a bill that's been approved that's being discussed. And the idea is that stablecoins would be regulated by the Pan-European Securities Regulator, ESMA. So this will be slow, and I think that the Europeans might actually lead the way here. And in a US election year, I don't think the US will lead the way in terms of regulating. So the US, so are the regulators coming? Anecdotally, we make pilots retire when they turn 65. I don't know why the US government, everyone is 75 to 90. If anyone has an answer to that, please approach me after. But this is Janet Yellen saying that stricter regulations are needed. And Terra is, I think, just the start of what we'll see from the US. So this is a quote from Janet. Financial risk mounts as the outstanding market cap of stablecoins is growing rapidly. And I actually think that stablecoin regulations in the US and other countries are inevitable because they're growing so rapidly that they're becoming a major force in the global financial sphere. So it's not going to happen this year. We've already got a lot happening in the United States with inflation, and don't even get me started. I could talk for hours and hours on end. But lots of stuff happening that I think makes it very difficult politically for any changes in the United States.